the farmers and what's going to happen now that Keir Starmer presumably is back finally from Rio de Janeiro. The farmers say we're not going to stop. We're going to try and convince the government to reverse this decision. It doesn't look like they want to reverse it, but what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because unfortunately, we're still at the very early stages of the Labor government, and they've shown no real interest in listening. Like that clip you just showed of Prescott was so brilliant in that it just goes to show how many modern politicians have forgotten the art of listening to their constituents. And this Labor government is a really good example of having forgotten that really politics is about the art of listening, and they're just not doing it. I can't see them changing course anytime soon, despite what will be growing pressure from this constituency.
But this is the problem, isn't it? They've created all kinds of battles for themselves, and what we know about politics is that you can't continuously fight people all the time. You know, you have to have some form of kind of calm in order to actually run the country. But at the moment, they're just putting out fires. You know, they've got the pensioners up in arms, they've got parents up in arms because their children can't go to the schools that they want to go to. They've got the NHS in crisis. They've got the policing business not working. You know, there's nothing going for them at the moment, and yet they seem to want to create more rows.
But what I don't understand, Mike, is that the benefit that getting from these fights is so relatively small.
Right.
You look at the VAT change for private schools, they'll make next to nothing off that. The inheritance tax, they're not going to make a great deal of money out of the farmers.
Yeah.
The winter fuel allowance, again, it's not going to change the budget bottom line in a really significant way.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand that the only answer can be that this is just kind of old school Labor class warfare and it's driven by ideology as opposed to really being driven by what they say they would do, which was returning to some form of growth.
Exactly right. And let's talk about the other problem that has never gone away and doesn't seem to want to go away, asylum and claims for asylum, which are going up rather than going down. More and more people now apparently arriving on our shores who have been given pretty much a green light to come in, and they know that they're going to get asylum, they're going to be given some kind of amnesty. But it turns out that now Dame Angela Eagle says that more asylum hotels have opened up since July. Somebody was telling me just the other day there's one at Heathrow that's now been nabbed by the Home Office. It's going to be full of asylum seekers. And, you know, there's no sign, to me anyway, that Labor has got a clue about how to stop it happening.
Mark, I lived in Australia when the country went through its own migrant crisis and eventually solved it. And there are some lessons from the Australian experience which the UK needs to adopt. And number one is, unfortunately, in the short term, you have to be cruel to be kind. If you give asylum seekers plush hotels, if you give them welfare benefits, this provides an incentive for more people to get on rubber dinghies and put their life at risk in the English Channel. That's why you need to adopt offshore processing. That's why you need to adopt things like boat turnbacks. And in the short term, you're going to see images of people in detention centres which aren't going to be particularly nice. Doesn't mean it has to be inhumane necessarily, but it also shouldn't mean that it's a nice hotel room. And that is the disincentive that eventually means that less people get on boats and less people die. This is actually the kind of thing. And the right here need to reframe this debate because they're framed as the kind of inhumane, cruel party, and the left still has this image of being kind and compassionate when it's their policies that are the ones that put refugees' lives at risk.
Yes, exactly right. Well, I mean, Kingston was banging on just the other day, wasn't he, about the one man that they finally caught who was apparently the criminal mastermind behind the smuggling gangs, which, of course, he wasn't. You know, he's one guy from Turkey. He happens to have been arrested and he's now probably going to go to prison. But that's not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop the gangs. And the trouble is that, you know, as you say, with the cold weather coming in, you've got pensioners who can't afford to heat their homes, you've got farmers being put under pressure, having to worry about losing their farms, and then these people are coming to the country for free, illegally, and getting loads of stuff.
Yeah, it is really tragic. And the thing which I find most frustrating, Mike, is that this is actually not a difficult political challenge to solve if you have the political will to solve it. Now, obviously, this Labor government doesn't have the political will to solve this challenge. In fairness, the Tories didn't have the political will to solve the challenge in their 14 years in power. But I think you can see enough international examples of where this has been solved effectively, but you just need the guts to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, one of the things I'm looking forward to, there's not many things you look forward to in politics these days, is the first reality TV show around Jacob Rees-Mogg and his family. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for it, but I think we've got a sneak peek at it. This should be fun.
I can sort of see you. Yeah. It's slightly like Big Brother is watching you. I'm Jacob ReesMogg. I've been involved in some political controversy. I'm afraid, and this is probably a sin, I quite enjoy winding people up.
I hope I don't get a cease and desist letter from Johnny Bowden. Could you please not wear my clothes? You awful Tory right-wing fox-hunting Brexiteer.
Would you consider you and your family to be posh?
We have quite posh accents, so yeah, if being real, we're quite posh, yeah.
Nice to see you.
I will be over the moon if ReesMogg is gone.
Thank you so much. Extraordinary things can happen, and one should never give up until the last minute.
Worse result at a general election than John Major's defeat in 1997.
I'm not a dog, I don't lick my wounds. Life goes on. What's next should always be the question.
I think that would be quite funny. He's a great character on ReesMogg, isn't he? People love to hate him, but I think he's rather fun.
The thing about Jacob, which is great, is he does everything with a knowing wink.
Yeah.
He knows exactly how he comes across. He knows he comes across as pompous, and he knows that then he kind of, this sort of thing will be great because he's playing up to that almost character that he has. I've got absolutely no idea why he's doing it, by the way. I'm baffled. But
I don't think he needs the money, does he?
He certainly doesn't need the cash. But look, I think it'll be good fun to watch nonetheless.
Yeah, I think so. It'll beat the Kardashians, in my view, anyway. Good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. That's, of course, Will Kingston, political commentator on a great many subjects.